Hi, hello everybody. So, to start this out, I would like to go over a little bit of information that came out between my previous video and today, and that is the announcement of the global launch times for Destiny Rising. Now, this game is going to have separate servers for each region. You can choose which server that you join. However, there isn't going to be crossplay between the different servers, so make sure that you and all of your friends pick the correct server that you're going to play on when launch comes around. Me and my clan, as well as the clan that I'm making for my viewers, is going to be hosted in the North American server, so be sure and be ready for that. We do not know if cross save is going to be a thing for this game, not standard for most gacha games. However, this could be different. For the North American servers, it is going to be at 9 a.m. PST, which means it will be at 12 a.m. Eastern Time for me specifically. However, I wouldn't be making a video if this was the only news that we had, because today we actually have the new news post for Destiny Rising, which actually came out with the developer preview video. Now, I wound up watching this before making the video. I was originally planning on watching it while I was recording. However, I forgot to hit the record button. So here I am with some foreknowledge of what goes on in this. It's pretty standard going through all of the different new information and additions, and I will break down everything for you. Starting out, we have the new mod system, which was featured in the CN beta. Now, I already know a lot about this and how it functions, but it is nice to get some more confirmation on this from the official channels. So with this new mod system, you will have a selection of different mods which will function as stat increases similar to the barrels and magazines in Destiny 2. However, you are able to select them and upgrade them. Each of the mods will increase the perk levels of one of the perk nodes, as you can see right there, which looks like it will cap out at around 5. And as you can see here, leveling up the perk nodes increases the total effectiveness of it. We don't know how these will scale for every single perk, but it looks like that the percentage increases for this trait has now been increased by 5% and presumably by about 1% per perk level. However, we do see another feature here that wasn't talked about, which is this perk upgrade. So I'm wondering if certain legendary perks would be able to be upgraded into mythic perks through some sort of system. Beyond that, they talk about the new artifact system, going over how they completely removed the set bonuses, and now each individual artifact has their own individual perks. And from what I have seen through the Chinese beta, a lot of these individual perks, if put in the correct combos, can be as strong or more strong than exotics in Destiny 2. And the attribute system, which we can see a little bit right there, and if I move forward a little bit, we can see them and their individual benefits. You can spec into certain attributes in order to increase their total effectiveness for the character. And these range from buffing certain abilities like your super, buffing certain damage types like solar, primary, or power damage types, and other more defensive and supportive effects like healing boost, defense boost, overshield, barrier, so on and so forth. Then they show off equipping all of the different artifacts to then increase both the perk levels through the total attribute score and also increasing all of the stats on the character. And from here, we do have confirmation that the maximum enhancement level will continue to be 10. However, the maximum level appears to be locked at 80. And we can also see here that the exotic artifacts do still have the particular bonuses towards certain element characters, but we can also see here that the attribute score increases can get quite large. Here we can see the attribute scores being tallied up to, and each artifact looks like it has a attribute score of 400, because you have the enhancement and the base stats, and there's 4 nodes each. So from the looks of it, the maximum attribute score would be somewhere around 1,760. So getting those high roll artifacts is going to be a long-term goal for a lot of people. Beyond that, they show off the sliding ability, which we knew about from the beta and also from the Gwyn PV, which they also show here. And now we get to some other news, And they go into detail about the raid here. And it's kind of interesting how they're calling it a raid right now, because previously in the game and in all of the marketing, they talked about it as Gauntlet Onslaught. I wonder if they're just going to be using this language interchangeably going on forward. However, they're talking about the Week 1 challenge for the raid and showing off a limited edition emblem. Though it looks like there won't necessarily be a day 1 race, which does make some sense because of the segregated servers and each server having their own launch times. And it looks like they are having a event where the total amount of players who completed in that first week period will increase the amount of rewards given to everybody when the event finishes. So carrying as many people to that completion will be something that a lot of good players, I imagine, try to accomplish. I've already decided that I will be personally going for this goal. After me and my clan get our own personal completion, we will then pursue helping as many people as we possibly can get their own so they can also enjoy the experience and get some loot. However, that is just for the initial launch of the raid. They are actually going to be releasing a hard mode raid later on in Season 1, which will include new challenges and an actual Day 1 experience. And when it comes to the fair balancing that they mentioned right here, I wonder if this means that they're going to be adding a fair play modifier for this Week 1 or Day 1 experience. Now, for those of you who are unaware, the fair play modifier was something that was included in Destiny Rising Beta. It was for the PvP game mode specifically, and it disabled character duplicates, and it also disabled the effects of weapon enhancement, and also made every single ability of the units level 1, making it so that so long as you had all of the character's abilities unlocked, no matter what you used or who you used, everybody would be on a level playing field. I'm wondering if they're including a version of that tuned specifically for the raid experience. Here we can see that we are actually getting a Grandmaster difficulty to the strike activities. Now, previously, the Master difficulty was rather nothing. It was a marginal difficulty increase. However, the base rewards outside of the Master Keys did not include anything more than doing a normal strike, so it was rather pointless to go through with it beyond spending your keys. I'm wondering if they have changed that for this new system, including the Grandmaster difficulty, giving increased rewards. And they showcase some of the rewards here. Pinnacle rewards, again, they don't really seem very different. However, the challenge chest rewards, these have some different icons, which I presume means that those are exclusive to the Grandmaster difficulty completions. So it looks like it might be a good idea to save some of your Master Keys for completing the Grandmaster difficulty. Additionally, what we can gather here is that the maximum power seems to have been increased from the beta. Beta, the maximum power you could get on a unit would usually cap out around 60k or around 65k, and considering that 65k is now the minimum power that they would expect you to reach in order to complete Grandmaster activities, it looks like we may be pushing the total power for units even further. Another thing that wasn't quite mentioned directly, however, was in the background here, is this down here, the high value bounties. I don't know how many people notice this. I wonder if this is just a new version of dailies, or though it could be an entirely new system that gives us more rewards as players. Also, we can see up here there is a plus mark for the non-daily Pinnacle energy. It looks like we may be given the option to purchase Pinnacle energy directly at launch, which wasn't in the beta, so that could be another change that we didn't see coming. Beyond this, we get more confirmation of different quests or characters. Gwen is now going to be getting her own character quest, which she didn't have in beta. I wonder if they will still be locked to you playing with the character, because in the beta, in order to complete the character quests, you had to do a certain number of activities playing as the character in order to unlock the missions of them. So if it was a unit that you just didn't really touch much because either you didn't have them built or you didn't enjoy playing them in general activities more than a different unit, you wouldn't have been able to access their quests. So I'm really hoping that system gets changed. Here, they give us confirmation that yes, Lumia Leaves will be returning as an as a reward for completing triumphs. So completing triumphs and triumph hunting will be extremely rewarding for this game. So you're going to want to make sure that you stay on top of that. Beyond that, they show off some of the loot events. They're going to have a sign-in event, which will give people a lot of pulls, and also some exotics, including an exotic selector box, which will give people a choice of Borealis, Huckleberry, or Crimson. Also, we can see here the event that was originally featured in the CN beta, a long-term challenge event, which will give people one copy of Finala and Shuan Wei completely for free, as well as some other awards like XP and character draws. Though it does seem like that there are some objectives here that were originally in the logbook for quest progression in the beta, so this could be a replacement for that quest progression logbook. So we could see something entirely different for story progression. And they also say that during launch, players can expect to receive over 200 free draws in total. Now, I believe they are including standard draws as well as limited draws, so take that statement with a grain of salt. Here, they give us confirmation that basic rewards have been buffed and will also no longer decay. So that means you can just infinitely grind the game so long as the items that you were looking for are included in basic rewards. However, if you do take a more casual pace, you also will not be punished for that because you will get the most rewards from Pinnacle. And here we also get confirmation that both the lower tiers of the 4 stars talents will cost less compared to the higher tiers, and will also be an overall reduction in the total amount of character copies you need. But we also get confirmation that light levels have been completely removed from the talent system, removing that from being a factor in character power leveling completely. And here they tease some more information coming in the future, like more system improvements that they can't cover today. I am curious to see if this is going to be coming tomorrow, or if we will be seeing this post-launch. And they also give announcements on the pre-registration milestones, and also the free rewards that we will be getting on launch through those milestones, including 10 draws and an exotic ornament. They also announced the language selection for this game, and it looks like it will be rather small starting out, only offering English, simplified, traditional, Chinese, Spanish, and Japanese as your language options. However, they will be adding more in future updates. And they also show off the service selection and also the launch times, which were announced prior to this. And they also announced that there will be crossplay between iOS and Android, as well as cross-save between. So you won't have to worry about swapping between the Moomoo player or your Apple product, or swapping between an Android phone or an iOS phone. Beyond that, they also show us their launch and update roadmap. They will be giving us a smaller update every month, as well as a larger seasonal update and shift every 2 months. At launch for the first month, it will be Season 0, and then Season 1, we will be getting the game content, including the new banner for Estella and Echo in September, as well as more game content coming in October and in the future updates and seasons. And they also announced that they're going to be adding some ornament sets, so if you are somebody who is interested in cosmetics like that, make sure to stay tuned for that announcement for the first season of Destiny Rising. And they then tell people to follow their social medias in order to keep up to date. You can also subscribe to me on YouTube, because I will be covering all of the news for this game from now going into the future. And talking about my channel, I will be hosting a Q&A live stream tomorrow, Wednesday the 27th, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and I will be continuing that until around 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. So if you're interested in seeing that, talking with me, and if you're interested in asking any questions, I will be sure to answer them to the best of my ability. Additionally, I will be streaming the launch of the game starting at the same time on the 28th, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern as well. And the launch of the server will be at 12 p.m. Eastern, 2 hours after I start streaming. So make sure and stay tuned for that as well. Beyond that, the blog post that they have here was largely just a summary of what was detailed in the video that they posted, and we also get confirmation that the different servers will not have crossplay right here. That's pretty much the only information here that has not been announced prior. We also get an announcement of a weekly server maintenance starting every Thursday from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And additional maintenance may be scheduled as needed, for instance, like a major update or seasonal shift. Also, for anybody playing on mobile devices, here are the recommended specs, so you can check your phones to make sure that they have the minimum requirements. With that all out of the way, thank you all so much for watching. Feel free to discuss in the comments of what your favorite changes and additions coming to Destiny Rising, and if I showed you anything that you missed originally on your own personal watch-through of this developer preview, be sure to let me know in the comments as well. If you are interested in more coverage of Destiny Rising, including guides, news, and more, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Every single subscriber increases my hydration level just a little bit more. With enough, you can make it so that I'm not parched. With that all out of the way, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.